It's still a difficult scene down there. As I said to you this morning and yesterday, it's devastating for all of us. We've had an opportunity to talk to some of the business owners today, Senator Cardin and Senator Van Hollen and Congressman Cummings and Councilman Weinstein and I, and they're devastated, as you can expect. They have gone through hell to get where they are today before this flood, and now they're facing it all again. And so our hearts are with them. We've told them we're there to help them in any way possible, and we greatly appreciate our federal partners coming to offer assistance and encouragement for all of us. But if it's okay, first I'd like to start with some of the folks in our departments, and then I'll turn it over to senators and the congressmen. Chief Butler, you want to talk about what you guys have been up to?
Good afternoon. Sometime yesterday, we were able to assist approximately 300 citizens from hazardous areas that were impacted by the storm. Somewhere around 24 to 30 of those were actual stranded or water rescues that they were in a higher level of danger. In the same time frame, we had two structural fires, one resulting into a second alarm fire, possibly due to a lightning strike. So sometime between 4 o'clock and 6 p.m., we were rather busy with quite a bit of activity in the same area, in a compressed area. So.
Okay, thank you. Can you talk about the rescue efforts for the gentleman who's missing and what's happening there?
We're continuing to search for the missing gentleman. Nothing is off the table. So we're looking and not concluding any assumptions. So we're continuing to search for the individual.
Okay, thank you.
Can you tell us where you're focusing that search?
So far, in the last 24 hours, we've done a cursory search of structures and vehicles, and that's the first round of searches. We're also bringing in quite a bit of resources, both human and also working dogs and canine, and also some technology. Also working to put into place an incident management team who will help coordinate and orchestrate the search and other activity.
Okay.
Maybe Chief Gardner may have more information on that than I do. Everything's on the table, from drones, some waterborne technology, atmospheric, and sound technology as well. We're using everything right now that we have available to us.
Okay. Chief Gardner, if you could, please, Chief Gardner. Please speak up as you're talking. Yeah.
Just an update for a couple of categories. First, the 911 center. We had about 1,100 calls that came into the center that we processed. That started around 4 p.m., about a 6-hour window, 1,100 calls, and that covered mainly this Main Street area, but in addition to that, we had a number of areas throughout the county that we had flooding, as you've already heard, with the number of the rescues. In regards to the missing person, 39-year-old male, he was at a restaurant on Main Street, Lapa, with some other folks trying to hold a door from the water trying to come in. A lady approached and indicated she was trying to find her cat that was missing behind the building, which is Lot D. He, along with some other folks, went back to assist her, and unfortunately during that effort, they saw him go under the water and not surface. The other folks did make it back up to Main Street, and of course then we again aggressively tried to search for him, but we're unable to, and we're still continuing that search as we speak. In regards to safety and security, as you can see, we're in the process of securing this area as we did in 2016 with fencing. We've also are being assisted by the Maryland State Police, who are providing that security along with Howard County. We will designate that area as a no-access zone, and that will continue until we provide credentialing for individuals to enter once we deem the area is safe to do so. So our main purpose at this point is preventing people from entering that scene and also protecting the assets that remain in some of those businesses. No, it's not clear. We want to do that as soon as we can, but we want to make sure that we receive the go-ahead from our safety inspectors that everything is safe.
We are allowing people to get credentialed this afternoon starting at 4 o'clock, but that's not to go in today. We'll have them go in when we know that the buildings are safe. Did you have a question?
Well, certainly the majority of the rescues were conducted by Fire and Rescue. We had one officer right here on Lower Main Street that was monitoring and assisting people, getting them out of the area at the time. At that point, the water was about at his level of his knees. He went into a building on Lower Main Street to help a family prepare to evacuate, and at that time, the water quickly rose up to his chest, and he was carried down. He was grabbing onto things and was fortunate to grab the staircase that you see just prior to the train bridge, and he hung onto that, was able to climb up to the top step to safety, and then was reunited with some of the rescue folks. Howard County police officer. Only a couple of years. As far as injuries, I mean, most of them were obviously were minor in nature, except for what we're dealing with now with the missing person. Now, he was down here. Initially, he was monitoring the level of the stream up above at Rogers Avenue and Main Street, and then he went to relieve another officer down below here at the bridge, and then he was navigating traffic, trying to get people out of the area and up to higher ground up here. And then when someone yelled from the side building that they needed some assistance in getting out and evacuated. Well, certainly we're thankful, not just for the first responders, but there's also a lot of individuals who are down here that provided that same level of heroic activities of pulling people out, providing that security, getting them to higher ground, and moving them. Unfortunately, many of them had been here in 2016, and here they are again doing the exact same thing. And we saw a lot of heroic things from people in 2016, and we saw it again here in 2018, in addition to the first responders who responded down here to help.
Any executive, given what happened in 2016,
I think Ellicott City was as prepared as it could be. When you have a rain coming down as high as 8 inches or more over a certain period of time, terrible things happen. We found that out in 2016. You know, the people in Ellicott City are strong. They worked hard on their buildings to make it stronger. The people who own those buildings made them a lot stronger. But something like this is so devastatingly strong, it's just difficult to handle. So the people of Ellicott City are strong and resilient. I think that they've done nothing but everything that in their power that they could do to improve themselves and their businesses. Right now, though, we're focusing on them and what we can do to help them and provide them with the services and resources they need. Before we continue, I want to have Director Irvin come up to talk about Public Works, if he could, and then I'll let the federal representatives.
Good afternoon.
Real loud.
We're working on 2 ends of the city to clean the roads up, and also the parking lots, starting down here in Lower Main and also at the west end. We're going to work towards the middle. Hopefully the main roads will be cleared off today. There's a mountain of dirt on the parking lots, and we're trying to remove that to get ready for the incident management team that's coming in. We're also working on some utility problems on College Avenue and Bonnie Branch. We have a major water main break, and we're trying to provide temporary service to the residents on College Avenue. We also have a sewer line that was washed out on Bonnie Branch, and we're trying to set up a temporary pump around to deal with that. So there's a lot of activity going on. As you can hear from the noise, it's pretty much nonstop.
For those who do have water, is it safe to drink?
It is safe to drink.
To follow up on the question before that 2016, can you give us a sense of what kind of efforts have been made after the 2016 flood and what kind of work was left to do in this latest flood?
Do you want to go talk about that?
Well, we have a major plan in place to upgrade the stormwater conveyance system in this area. We've been working pretty much nonstop on reconstructing the channels in the town. They were all washed out in a previous storm, so we had to rebuild the stone walls in there. We've also religiously cleaned out all the channels from debris, tree stumps, and to keep them the maximum capacity there. In fact, this was just cleaned out about 2 weeks ago. So, plus there's a lot more in the works about upsizing the culverts in town and looking at other ways to mitigate the stormwater. So it's an ongoing effort.
Can you say something, give us like a percent, like 50% of the way toward your goal? Like how much, just ballpark, how much had been done and how much is left to do?
Well, there's never finished with stormwater management, but I'd say we've completed maybe 30% of the things we wanted to get done. When there are major efforts, rebuilding a stone wall in a stream is a significant challenge to do that. It's not just one, but multiple locations throughout town.
Also, I think it's important to know that we've also been working on design and engineering for stormwater retention facilities, ponds, and we had gone through a lot of that effort to the point where we also now had construction funding to start working on those. So, since 2016, in 22 months, we had done a lot of effort to get moving. It's just that you can't get that much done in 22 months. But we were well on our way to getting those facilities put together. We're also having a culvert, as the director said, on the west end to help a point where it's a pinch point where water seems to come over. And so we've been working on all of that. So I think it's important for people to realize it wasn't like we had not done anything. We've been working with engineers. We, of course, had to do studies. A hydraulic study was done right after the flood to basically understand where are the best places for us to work. And we did all of that, plus have design, plus have construction funds appropriated, plus have some of the stream walls being done. We had the Army Corps of Engineers come in and help us with ideas on how we can help our residents and our businesses. So there's been a lot of effort going on since 2016. It's just very difficult. Yeah. With regard to the gauges, that's a partnership we have with the Department of Homeland Security and the National Weather Service, and they were designed to give us data to help us better understand how we could move forward with an alert system. So they were not an alert system of their own. They were helping us get data over the next 6 months to 1 year to help us get a better gauge on how we could do a better job. With regard to the business owners, my heart breaks for them. Most of them I know very, very well. We have spent a lot of time together over the last 2 or 3 years. And so they are going to have to make a tough decision, and I will support whatever decision they make. I'm not going to be one to tell you what they should do. I'm here to work with them and offer them whatever resources. I know our federal partners here are here as well to make sure they know that they have the support of the federal government and their offices to do whatever they can to help them with whatever decision they make. What I told the business owners when I was just up there said, whatever decision you make, I want to make sure that Howard County resources are helping you best at what that decision is. So I'd like to right now, if I could, to turn it over to Senator Cardin, then Senator Van Hollen, and then Congressman Sarbanes.
Well, first, last night was a horrific event. The amount of rain that fell in such a short period of time, causing floodwaters to occur without much notice in succession. It wasn't just one stream of water, and the elevations were so quick. This happened during a holiday weekend, and it was very busy in Ellicott City. So there were a lot of people at risk. The first priority in these events is to save life. And that's exactly what the first responders in Howard County did. And I congratulate Alan Kittleman and his entire team for being prepared to deal with a crisis with little notice and save life. And that was very apparent from the stories that we heard of people being trapped in buildings and literally their lives were at risk. And the first responders saved lives last night. So we thank our first responders. They, as everyone else is trying to get out of harm's way, they rushed into harm's way and were very effective in minimizing the losses. Clearly, there's going to be some hard decisions that are going to have to be made by the residents and shop owners here. We recognize that. You shouldn't have to go through this once in your lifetime, but twice in 2 years is something which is it breaks our hearts. So, yes, we're here on behalf of the federal team. I'm pleased that Senator Van Hollen and Senator Sarbanes are here and speak also for Congressman Sarbanes and Congressman Cummings. But we're part of this team, and we will use all the resources we have at the federal level to help the county because this stretches the county's capacity. Working with the state, and I know Governor Hogan has already taken action, we're going to do everything we can to help the people, recognizing that this is an incredible challenge for individuals who have now gone through this twice in less than 2 years.
Well, I want to thank County Executive Kittleman, Councilmember John Weinstein, and everybody for pulling the community together so quickly. And to the fire chief and the police chief and your whole team, all the emergency responders, thank you. I know we're still looking for a missing person, but it is almost miraculous that when you had a flood of this magnitude, that others escaped. I know that there were, 300 rescues, water rescues, and I think the police department responded to over 1,100 calls in a 6-hour period. So thank all of you for being there 24/7. And I'm pleased to be here with Senator Cardin and Congressman Sarbanes, even under these very difficult circumstances, because Ellicott City is a community that pulls together. We saw it pull together after 2016. It was Ellicott City strong then. It's Ellicott City strong again. It is an incredibly resourceful and resilient community. And the federal delegation looks forward to working with all of you, with the governor, to make sure that we get as much federal resources in place to help those business owners and others recover from this devastating storm. This is a time when everybody's got to pull together. And the folks we met with from the business community here, as County Executive said, I mean, they were hit hard 2 years ago. They'll have to decide the way forward. We'll honor their decisions and work with everyone here in the community.
Well, I just want to repeat what Senator Van Hollen just said. Resiliency is the word. That is what characterizes Ellicott City. The homeowners here, the business owners. I guess a second flood brings resiliency plus perspective, and I think that's what County Executive was alluding to a moment ago. People are going to have to make some tough decisions. I mean, people were just getting to where they thought they could catch their breath, and then here comes another flood and upends their lives in devastating ways. So we're obviously here to do as much as we can to support the recovery effort. We know that tomorrow the county executive is going to have this disaster assistance center stood up, so it's very quickly in place to help all those who've been affected. The damage assessments will happen. That information will be gathered together. Then there's an opportunity for the county and the state to seek assistance from the federal government. Obviously, we're going to do everything we can to support that. I'm one of 3 members of the House that's privileged to represent Howard County, Dutch Ruppersberger, myself, and Elijah Cummings. But Congressman Cummings is really the point person on the House side of our delegation. He's already been in very close contact with the county executive. He'll be touring the area in the coming days, and he'll be our point person along with Senator Cardin and Senator Van Hollen to make sure that the federal assistance is all that it can be. Thank you.
Okay, yes? Again, we've done a lot of studies and a lot of ways in which we can help, and I think there are ways in which we can help mitigate that, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. So I do believe there's engineering that can be done to help. Now, again, if you get 9 inches or 8 inches of rain over a 3 or 4 or 5 hour period, that's tough, and I can't guarantee what will happen with that. But I certainly think there are ways in which we can do the mitigation to help. I really do believe that. But still, if you're a business owner, a property owner, you got to make that decision for yourself, and I fully respect that that's a difficult decision to make, and I respect the decision they decide to make. Before we go any further, I see that Sheriff McMahon is here too. I appreciate him being here. We have a couple of gentlemen here who from our Swift Water Rescue. And I thought maybe you might like to hear from them. They could give you a little bit of a feel for what they have been facing over the last day or so. So if you guys want to come up and maybe you want to come forward. Just kind of let folks know kind of what you identify yourself and let folks know what you've been doing.
I'm Lieutenant Jeff Carl. I am assigned to Howard County Special Operations. We handle everything technical rescue related, structural collapse, swiftwater rescue. Last night, units that were on duty were engaged pretty heavily down here on Main Street in water rescues. Firefighter Yakich can speak more to that. I came in approximately 2 hours into the incident off duty and formed a team that performed some of the rescues on Route 29 last evening, and then proceeded down to Main Street in the early hours of this morning, and now back here today. So as of today, we've got units down the river on both sides. We've also searched the river pretty extensively with human assets and cadaver dogs searching for victims and the missing person. So in that aspect of things, we're still in the active rescue mode with our personnel and assessing the structures and trying to get in and make sure everything is complete.
Okay. Just a second, please. Okay. Let's have the one the gentleman, then you can ask the question.
Firefighter Dane Yakich. I'm also assigned to Special Operations. Tagging on to what Lieutenant Carl said, it was a pretty chaotic scene last night whenever we arrived on scene. Multiple people trapped, both in vehicles and in buildings, and they were obviously our first priority. So we were able to get them out of the buildings, what we could. Others we had shelter in place, and then anybody who was in a vehicle was also a top priority to get out. So, yeah.
Okay. Why don't you both come forward? You had a question?
Yeah, what goes through your mind as someone who is trying to perform a job, a duty to rescue people, but also someone who's seeing your town underwater? There's going to be a bit of a conflict inside. What was going through your head?
I'm not speaking for the two of us. We both were actively involved in the 2016 incident down here as the night of as well as the days afterwards. I think for us, when the situation presents itself, we are trained well enough and are given the ability to get trained well enough that some of that stuff kind of gets set off to the side until afterwards. I know we were talking today, and it really is hard for us to be down here a second time seeing the same thing over again. It kind of brought back that deja vu type feeling last night and this morning when we were down here experiencing the same thing we did 22 months ago. So it's unfortunately, it's a very unfortunate thing, but I think the training that we've been given here in Howard County and beyond allows us to really get the task at hand completed.
It's about time. Felt like we got there pretty quick. Yeah, we got a lot of thank yous. Everybody's very appreciative. So we're happy to be here and help out.
Lieutenant, you said that you're still in a rescue mode. Is this operation still rescue oriented?
Absolutely, yes. We're still very actively searching down. Unfortunately, in the dark with high water last night, it makes it extremely difficult to search down the river. So the utilization of the daylight today really allows us to get a better idea of what we're dealing with. And as you can see, some of the equipment we're carrying are GPS. So as we come across things, we mark it, and it allows our higher-ups to be able to prioritize what we're going to do next as the days progress here. We're here again. Hard to explain. When you see the destruction that's down there, and most of us were either actively engaged in rescues last time or assessing structures for damage. So to be in some of the same buildings, 2 years later, doing the same exact thing, seeing the same exact damage, makes it a little bit difficult. It feels bad. We all like the county we work for and enjoy being able to have this nice Main Street. So,
yeah.
So the preliminary assessment of how this flood actually occurred matched with your hydraulic assessment of the last flood. I mean, was it, from what you understand, a similar event? He was saying a lot of the damage here. He was saying
We don't have that information yet. We haven't had an opportunity to do all that. I haven't talked to our engineers on that. All I can tell you is the devastation is as bad, or if I think actually worse than it was in 2016. And there's some areas that are hit that maybe were not hit before. So we'll be looking at all of that. But I want to, before we finish off, I'm going to have actually Councilman John Weinstein come up and say a couple words. But I just want to tell you how important it is to have our federal representatives here. I mean, this is a team effort. They were very involved with us in 2016. They helped us to get the FEMA relief that we needed in 2016. And so it's very important that they're here with us today. So I want to make sure everyone understands how much it means to me and to everyone else in Ellicott City that they've taken the time to be here and to come in and see what's going on, to hear from us what's happening on the ground, and to ask us what can they do to help us. That's the first thing we heard. We have plenty of time to address those issues. Right now we're talking about people's lives and making sure that people have what they need, the resources they need to handle what they're dealing with right now. We can talk about that later, and there's a lot of things I can talk about that, but I don't think that's the time to do it. Right now we're dealing with a gentleman who's missing, making sure that we do everything we can to find that individual, and also try to make sure that these other folks who have had their lives torn apart have the resources and services they need. We have time to discuss that later, but I want to turn it over to Councilman Weinstein.
Well, FEMA acts in a lot of different ways. We expect that Governor Hogan will be requesting a declaration from the President on an emergency situation. FEMA can come in and help deal with the costs that have been involved by the county. But they also look at mitigation, and there are different programs available to work on mitigation issues. I wish we had a larger infrastructure program at the national level to deal with these issues. But our captain on this is going to be the county exec. And we look forward to working with him. We will use every tool we have at disposal, including those from FEMA and many other agencies. We have transportation, we have environment, we have a lot of different agencies that have programs. And we will be working with the county exec, taking direction from his leadership as to what the residents and business owners desire moving forward, and we will provide a robust federal partnership.
The only thing I would add is here, FEMA reached out immediately to the county executive, asked if they could support them in the immediate rescue efforts. In this case, between the county team and the state teams, they had sufficient personnel for the immediate rescue. So FEMA's main role will be if the governor declares it a federal emergency, which we expect he will. The congressional and federal delegation will work to try to make sure that FEMA provides the resources. There are also resources that can be made available by the Small Business Administration in terms of loans to help the businesses that want to rebuild, to help them rebuild, and there are other federal resources as well that we'll work on. Well, in this particular instance, I don't think FEMA's provided any guidance, but as the county executive said, those are all issues that in the coming days we'll be discussing.
Okay. I'd like to have Councilman Weinstein say a couple words, please.
I'm John Weinstein. I'm the District 1 council member for Howard County Council, and I think I've said this before, but there are really no words to describe where we are today. This is, not only do I represent the area, I live just up the hill, lived in my neighborhood, again, just up the hill for 20 years, and we had flooding in my neighborhood. Never seen it before. This storm was different. It was worse. I had to help neighbors get out of a car. They got the water up to their door in my neighborhood, which is at the top of the hill. It's also different for me because I was a business owner on Main Street for many years. I started my business here, grew it here. I know these people. They're my friends. And it's the kinds of issues that we're experiencing here are really just to focus on them. They deserve our full attention, our compassion, and our assistance in the coming days. that nobody deserves anything more than the full capacity that the county and the state and the federal government can bring to the people here. This community deserves it. They worked hard to come back, and those who want to come back will have the full assistance. Those who do not, will be behind them 100%. So that's really all I have to add.
You may be able to answer this. When this flood hit, were you still waiting on any funding from the last flood?
Not that I know of.
I don't know if there may have been still some stuff because FEMA for reimbursements takes some time, but that's different than mitigation efforts. So I don't think we can address all that right now. We can maybe get that to you later on. But anyway, I thank you all. Thank you for being here.